Hello, I'm here in Alpha 67 and I would like to present to you the Liquid Update. The Liquid Update is a fancy name for this version and it basically brings tanks and things like that, and that's awesome, I would say. So let's take a look on this cart. We have 4 tanks in this cart. We have a top tank which can hold 14 buckets, a front tank 8 buckets, side tanks 8, and internal tank 4 buckets. The internal tank is sort of like the internal storage in the way that you can stack them if you want. So you can have multiple internal tanks. They won't store as much, but you can have more than one. If you want to fill liquids in them, you can just do things like this or like that to fill it up. And of course it works with capsules and stuff like that. So there we go, biofuel 4,000 out of 4,000, so that tank is now full. The only reason why I could use milk is because forestry allows milk to work as a liquid. And speaking of forestry, at the moment I have forestry installed and Steve's Carts 2 installed and no other mods, because, well, most mods haven't been ported to 1.5 yet. So at the moment, well, forestry and Steve's Carts 2 will do, and I don't think there's any shame with only using those mods. So that was 4 tanks, but you might have noticed that thing, that's another tank. So we have the advanced tank, and you need the reinforced hull to use that because that's it has a modular cost of 52 if I'm not mistaken, maybe 54, let's see, 54, and it can hold 32 buckets, so that's quite a lot if you compare to the top tank, which only has 14 buckets, and the top tank, it's the largest one of the ones that can go on the standard hull. And no tank can go on the wooden hull, so you need standard hull or reinforced. And as you can see, it will show how much of every liquid you have like this. Of course not the internal tank, because that's internal. So, like I said, you could stack internal tanks. You can stack them up to 4, and the reason why that is because they share these slots in the card assembler that the chests have. So you will have to balance this, because you can only have 4 different ones. You can have 2 chests and 2 tanks if you want to. Of course you don't need all 4, but you can't have like 4 tanks and 4 chests. That you can't have room for that. So that's a bit of a balancing act there. So that's just a side note. Now we should go to the liquid manager, I think, to show that. It's sort of like the cargo manager, but for liquids. You can sort of hear that in its name. So let's send that thing along and open its interface. There we go. So we have something similar here. We have Liquid Manager in the middle here. We have arrows pointing in which direction we want to do things. We have different colors with different turnback settings. We have these tanks, which works the same as the tanks in the cars. You can just do it like that to fill it up. And it got drained by this card right away. At the moment, what we can see is I've set this transfer size to be 1 bucket maximum, so that will drain 1 bucket. The Liquid Manager will drain a maximum of 1 bucket from that cart, and then it will store as much as possible in that cart. And the reason why that works is because the current setting allows all tanks to share their inventory in some sense, because, well, they can't flow over into each other, but if you want to access something here, you can access liquid there, sort of like the cargo manager. And of course you can also click here to change the layout, and as you can see, the tanks split up, and then you can also go color based. So let's go, oops, yeah, there we go. Go back to max here. So now it will drain as much as possible, and as you can see, it's draining that tank. And as soon as that tank is empty, it's going to drain that tank and that tank and that tank. So basically, what we're doing now is transferring liquids from that to that. This won't really be able to keep everything, I don't think, because that's much smaller. And there we go. Yeah, it won't fill up yet. They are queued. So as soon as this is finished, that will be handled. That's how the cargo manager works as well. And as you can see, we're just draining everything here, and now that should be drained as well. So that's the Liquid Manager for you. It's kind of much like the cargo manager, like I said. So if you know the cargo manager, you can just apply that to the Liquid Manager. So it should be kind of easy to learn. We also have the external distributor. So what's that? You might recognize it as the cargo distributor, but well, it wouldn't make sense to have a cargo distributor that could transfer liquids. So it was renamed to external distributor. It still works with the cargo manager. Here we go. It's the exact same thing. Like, yeah, whatever. So it connects things like that. So if you want more information about that, just go and check the video about that. But like I said, it also works here. So now we can connect different sites, and then you can use Buildcraft or Red Power or whatever to pump things to specific tanks instead of just pumping it to the first tank, and if that's full, the next tank, and so on and so forth. And well, you can't really do that right now. Buildcraft hasn't been released yet. I tried it with Buildcraft. I made sure that it worked, and it worked pretty good. So that's that. And we have one more thing to cover. There's quite a lot for this version, you might have realized. The hydrator that was used to hydrate soil could be used with a farmer or on its own, but it was good to use with farmer, has been not removed but sort of tweaked, and the large hydrator has been removed completely. So here's the new hydrator. It only has a modular cost of 6, and the old one had a modular cost of 16, and if you go and check at the side tanks, they have a modular cost of 10. So 10 plus 6 equals 16. So basically the hydrator has been split in two, the actual hydrating part and the side tanks. And as you might see, the side tanks are actually the same model as before. But the only difference is that the liquids are rendered properly before. Not before, but now. Before it was just rendered a bit lousily with some water texture. So if you have a cart since before with a hydrator, that cart will now have a hydrator and a side tank. So you will get the side tanks for free. And if you have a large hydrator, you will get the same. So if you have a large hydrator, you will be able to store as much liquid as before, because a large hydrator could store 8 buckets of water, and now a side tank can store 8. So if you had a normal hydrator, you will get a bit of bonus, because the side tanks is actually the double size of the normal hydrator. So that's that. And of course, if you have a hydrator and you want to water the soil, then it will just drain water in any tank it can find. So it won't, of course, drain biofuel or honey or whatever. But if it can find any water in the tank, then it will drain that and use that. And as you can see now, that cart has no liquids left, and all the liquids are there, and we have a bit left here because it couldn't really fit there. So that's about it. The liquid update, quite a lot of stuff, and well, you can probably expect to see new modules in the future that will interact with the tanks. The only module at the moment is the hydrator, just because that already had its internal tank before. So that's about it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you later.